Hi and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is Vlogs About Nothing. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your night to join me. It's really my pleasure, and I do appreciate you. And I mean, you could swipe away. You don't have to be here, but I want you here. So that's the thing. Definitely stick around. You feel me? If you're new to the channel, I guess I can behave in a way sometimes that might be unappealing. However, my argument is that I'm just here to entertain you. And that's why the comments are off. And that's why this is what I call a safe space, right? I mean, you watch some rando talk to himself in his room about whatever he's ranting about. And then you take that information and hopefully I made you smile at least once. And or if I haven't, at least I've presented some information into your life that you probably already knew about. You know what I mean? You probably already know all of these things that I'm talking about, and I can't assume that you don't. But what I can assume is that, you don't know who I am. And I'm real interested in you getting to know me. Because I've said this publicly for a long time now. I've said it in my private life for a very long time, longer than I care to remember. But, I am the only thing that I find of value that I can barter for services. As it is, this is what I got to offer. It's just like me in my presence and like randomly talking to myself in my room, at least at this current point, you feel me? And in the future, I hope to be a big more help to lots more people in different kinds of ways, but that's then, or that will be then, and this is now. And so we got to find stuff to fill the time. I got to stay out of trouble, and we do got to take a little bit of time for y'all to get to know me, right? So again, if you're new to the channel, thanks for finding us randomly, and thanks to YouTube for making that happen as well. But in the same time, like, let's take this slow. You feel me? We still got about like 250 videos or so before we are really in any kind of a place, so far as I'm concerned, to make any forward lateral movement within this industry in particular, and as well as like my own personal growth as I want to grow up at some point in my life, I mean, I'm almost 40 years old, so it's probably in my best interest. So tonight, let's talk about the console comeback. So I am a huge fan. I'm a millennial, right? And recently, I've talked about video games on the channel before. I've never been anti-video game. I think video games are great. You feel me? I do. I really feel that way. That's not a sarcastic response. Games are what get us through the day. It's not a bad thing. I used to play solitaire, both IRL with my grandma and on a computer screen. So I like games. I grew up with the Super Nintendo. I grew up before that playing the Nintendo Entertainment System in my cousin's house. Like Nintendo has always been around, seriously. And I always thought has been a pretty, even when I used to work with kids, right, for close to 11 years, we had a Wii. So our program got a Wii, and this is when Wiis were first a thing. Like, video games can be good. They help people bond, their collected shared interest that even though sometimes the images on screen are of violent things or whatever, like it's not real life, and it's so much better for those things or those behaviors to be taken out like on a screen, I'd say, than in real life for sure. We all have different fantasies, and we're not here to judge as to what or those fantasies are or not, like seriously, it's just video games offer a safe outlet, I'd say, for lots of people to do what they do, and that's essentially be a part of a community. I mean, right? Like, role playing games wouldn't be the same if they weren't online enabled and you couldn't battle with somebody halfway across the world or talk smack to a teenager in, Japan, while like from the comfort of your own home as a fellow teenager in the States or whatever. You feel me? I mean, again, that's called socializing. That's that transcends the actual action of just moving some two-dimensional characters around on a screen. It's the actual human connection. And I say this because um, even when video games were not online enabled and there were just RPGs that were, on the console and that was it, it was and always still is, has been and always still will be a time where people come together. It's like Sundays in America and people watch football together or whatever. I noticed that that's more of like a boomer and X thing. As I get older, I find that this may just be my opinion or whatever, but all of this is just my opinion. But like, not too many of my like millennials, that's not a thing anymore. Like, nobody goes to people's houses on Sundays to watch professional football games unless there are parents. And hey, like I said, I'm almost 40. So like when I say our parents, I'm talking about like some old people. You feel me? Like I'm just saying. So I mean, point in fact, I had not ever knew of a single person that still did the Sunday football game tradition until I dated she who shall not be named last year, and she was very interested and into going to that stuff. But friendly reminder, she was also 22 years my senior. So it's just different, right? Different generations like different things. I am trying to get around to talking about consoles and how I really feel like they should make a comeback. Like, why don't people make new content for console games anymore? Who decided that no one was going to make consoles anymore? Like, so what if Microsoft and Nintendo don't want to make any more console games? That's fine. Or Sony. So why isn't there another person? Like, and Nintendo, moreover, is probably going to be still the best example. I mean, they have a next gen SNES, a mini next gen SNES. They do a lot of jailbreaking on old consoles, and like that's allowed and stuff. And they have the Nintendo DS and things, and that's still technically a console because it's handheld and all these other things. But I mean, I want a GTA level type drop on a brand new console, right? Like, if we're gonna spend hundreds of dollars on different platforms to get access to digital video games that we don't even own, then why isn't there still a market for people who are willing to spend a few $100s on a brand new console with an opportunity to play in-lock games or just online enabled RPG without having to sign up to play Steam or without having to subscribe or pay for a video game that you'll never actually own and that gets modded sometimes without your permission and has all kinds of different flaws. You feel me? Like, there's something really cool. I was watching this interesting documentary about console video games, and Nintendo, so far as I know, is like when consoles used to release games and they had glitches, like they would offer a service for you to send back the game so that they could update your disc so that they could send it back to you, which again is a little bit more legwork than having updates provided to you from the comfort of your home on your device while you're sleeping. I get that, but it really doesn't point to any kind of solution as it goes with developers making unfinished video games, releasing them at full price and not at the scale of which they were saying they were good that they were going to release that video game on. You feel me? And instead just dropping beta versions essentially with all different types of updates, like simultaneously, like while you're trying to play a brand new game that's just been dropped for millions of people to play. Like, yeah, there's going to be mad glitches. Yeah, but like, there's no incentive to get it right. And I bring up the past example because no one wanted to do that extra legwork. So video games were made to be complete and they were made to be played. And I feel like video games have gone away from that. And I just think it's interesting that no one, I mean, there's a lot of smart people out there, you know? I'm just wondering why haven't any of you made a brand new video game console? Seriously, like just your own console. Like, why not? Again, based on the fact that there's a lot of people who already spend so much money on stuff they'll never own, it's just like to say that human beings don't still prefer IRL tangible assets over digital non untangible assets. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And I'd be the first person in line to buy a GTA mass level type drop for a brand new console. And I wouldn't care who released it. It wouldn't matter. I mean, it'd be nice if one of the big companies released it, but I mean, there's also other companies. Like, Why doesn't Apple make their own video game console? Why I just again, I don't know. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, I want consoles back in mainstream, and I don't want them to just be old video games, like no new titles. I want new titles. I want new creation. I want a new console. And I think a lot of other people might be interested in getting a new console as well. So that's all I'm saying. I hope that you guys have a really good night, all right? Bye.